Acts chapter 1. We've been kind of crawling through verse 7 and verse 8. Let's look at verse 8. But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you. Gosh, there's lots in that. And depending on what kind of theological background you come from, there's even more possibly, but we're going to keep moving. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. I talked a lot last time about Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. And I want to basically wrap that up with a question. When you think about, remember the concentric circles, right? Where do you think God most often and most effectively uses you? In which of those concentric circles? Jerusalem, Judea, and I put a third circle of Samaria. Remember that is basically not just a cultural distinction, but I think also a racial distinction. And then the ends of the earth. Some people will probably never go much farther than the next or the state after that in terms of their travel. It's their life and their wiring. Okay. I do think, miniature bunny trail here, I do think travel expands us as people. One of the things I'm glad that we did as a family when our kids were young is that we took long road trips from Oklahoma to upstate New York to down past the middle of Florida. We traveled. Anyway, gosh. Boy, that's not good if I'm getting a bunny trail on stuff like that. But some people don't. Okay, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But God, there are some people that I think God just plants in them this onboard thing, wiring, that they like to travel, and they do travel. Wherever you go, whatever circle you find yourself in, you and I are to be his witnesses. Some people travel broadly for work. Some people travel internationally for work. And their work is marketplace work. Good, that's good stuff. Figure out a way to be his witness. What circle, where are you most engaged as his witness? Now, here's the thing about this kind of witnessing. There's two things I want to say about it. First of all, I memorized Matthew 28:19 when I was a kid, back to verse 18, where Jesus says, all authority has been given unto me under heaven and earth. Therefore go and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to observe everything I have commanded you. And that, when I was growing up, the big deal was go into the whole world. I mean, in terms of the preaching aspect, right? The realistic aspect was, I grew up in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Our church was full of farmers. They're not likely to go overseas. They're not likely to to commission themselves or be commissioned by the church to cross-cultural and territorial lines. It just, so what? Well, God, because he's sovereign and he's wise, he's omnipotent, means all-powerful. He's omniscient, all-knowing. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. Because of his nature and he knows everything. I mean, there is no future for him. But everything is now, and I don't even think we're capable. Maybe Einstein kinds of people are capable of thinking about the actuality of eternity and when one is no longer bound by time, what that involves. I'm not. It blows my mind. But because he sees everything and knows everything, and because he's God, I mean, that's the bottom line. He somehow puts into the hearts of men and women, sometimes boys and girls, the desire to go out. Okay. There is an interesting possibility for translating Matthew 28:19. The verb that we have translated go into all the world could be translated as you go. And I think the reason that matters is because it leaves this possibility that you're going to go somewhere, wherever you go, as you go, be his witness. Wherever you go. All right, let's bring that down to the runway. Dude, when you go to the grocery store, be his witness. When you go to get your car filled up with gas, be his witness. When you go to wherever you go, be his witness. If it's across the street or across the globe, as you go, be his witness. Okay, that now takes the principle, the application of that principle out of the big, I don't see myself ever getting to China kind of thing, and it puts it right on the block where I live. Okay, as you go. Then here's the second thing I'm going to pass along. When you are his witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth, you will have to step outside your comfort zone. I suppose there are people, well, actually, I've known a couple of people who I think are so wired for the what we call today evangelism, that they are fully in their comfort zone to talk about Jesus anytime, anywhere, to anybody. I wish I were one of those. I am not. I cannot remember a time that speaking to a stranger about Jesus and about the good news of the gospel was comfortable. It's always been uncomfortable in a sense that it takes me out of my comfort zone. For a lot of my life, I use that as an excuse where I'm just, well, it's just not how I'm wired. I don't have the gift of evangelism. And I don't. But I read a statistic one time that made me feel a little bit better about it, that only about 15% of the typical church are gifted, spiritually gifted, for evangelism. But here's the thing. That task, that function, that activity is not just exclusively given to people with the gift of evangelism. When Jesus spoke to the 12, if you look at their life story, they were not all evangelists. Most of them had to get out of their comfort zone in order to be his witness. We also may have to navigate our way outside our comfort zones in order to be his witnesses as we go. Jerusalem, where we live, Judea, the bigger world for us, Samaria, crossing in, across racial, not just geographic, but racial lines, and the ends of the earth. I guess what I'm saying is, when you partner with God's design and you say yes to Jesus, you may not like it, but truth is, we signed on to be his witnesses. So for most of us, being his witness will involve working outside our comfort zone. Well, you don't ever have to necessarily get used to that. And part of the reason is because temperamentally, some of us are introverts. And it's in our wiring. I can't say in our DNA, but it is in our emotional wiring. And neurologically, over time, we have burned those neural pathways deep for introversion. And so the kind of communication and engagement and interaction that's going to be required to be his witness will always take us out of our comfort zone. Well, okay. You can do this. I can do this. You don't have to be comfortable always as you follow Jesus. I mean, I'm not saying do your best to be uncomfortable. I'm just saying we can do it. So what if you're an extrovert? Man, then just be you. Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. And two quick things to end. It's attributed to St. Francis, and others have said, no, he never said that. I don't know who said it. I kind of like it. I actually like Francis. But the quote is, preach the gospel always. Use words when necessary. Okay, I like the thought of that. But the point is, it is both. It's not just how you are. It's also what you say. There are times, probably more times than introverts like myself would want, that words are necessary. Got to use them. Okay. But it's not one or the other, it's both. Who I am, how I am, and the words that I use. And then I guess the last thing I would have to say about this whole deal is the world is flatter than it's ever been. And in some ways, the world is smaller than it's ever been. You may never get outside the United States, but you can be partnered with people who are called by God. They feel God's calling to go. You can help them in many different ways. Daily prayer. I can tell you, daily prayer matters. Financial support. Most of the people that are doing it, well, the vast majority of the people who are doing this, they're not independently wealthy. They can't fund the enterprise out of their own personal resources. God provides through people like you and me. And then the other is be an advocate for these people toward wherever you go. Okay, already blew past my time, so I'm going to quit. I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy, and I'll be wearing the same shirt because I'm going to do it on the same day.